the type of occupation. It's understanding the soil, understanding the wildlife, understanding the importance of protecting everything that you do. That's why we adopted as our motto for our farm, holistic stewardship for abundant life. The stewardship aspect is that you respect the rights of your fellow man, and how best to do that but provide your fellow man with some healthy food, not contaminated food, not something that is questionable. Our lawsuit by Saskatchewan organic farmers, of which we are approximately 1,000, predominantly the lawsuit is about compensation because of the contamination with GM canola. We have people in our group that have had crops contaminated, canola crops, in 1999, 2000, for example, and were not able to sell their crop because the laboratories detected GM genes, Roundup Ready genes, or Liberty Link genes from the company Aventis at that time, present in the organic farmer's canola crop. We can no longer grow organic canola because there was an important enough quantity of GM canola, maybe 55–60% of all canola in Saskatchewan is genetically modified canola. What we have here is a plant of Roundup Ready canola. This is one of Monsanto's canola, GM canola plants. It was grown by my neighbor in the field on the other side of this road. And because we are certified organic, we need a buffer zone between our neighbors and ourselves. This road and the grass area serves as a legitimate buffer zone. But with the wind, at harvest time, plants like this have blown over the road, and I have to demonstrate to my certification agency that I am taking all measures possible to make sure that all plants and seeds are removed from the field. And that's why I'm collecting this, I'm documenting it, I'm taking pictures of it, I'm taking video of it, and I let our lawyer know because this is going to be used as part of our lawsuit against Monsanto to demonstrate that we have had contamination since 1996 when they introduced Roundup Ready canola in Saskatchewan. When it comes to the question of liability, who is responsible for having this contamination by GM canola, it is undoubtedly Monsanto. And one of the points that we will make with our lawsuit that is very important is that we are accusing Monsanto and Aventis, which is now Bayer, of being negligent. Very negligent because they did not tell farmers like my neighbor that if they use this patented GM canola, that there is a risk that it will contaminate neighboring fields. That was never explained to those farmers. And it's very interesting to note that in countries like England, large insurance companies are refusing to insure if GM crops are grown. And I think that is wonderful.
The whole issue now of any more introduction of GMOs should be stopped immediately, because we have seen what has happened with the introduction of GMO canola and GMO soybeans, how it has destroyed the indigenous seeds and pure seeds. We no longer have any pure canola seeds or soybean seeds left in Canada. It is all now contaminated. And if you look back at Monsanto's history, to me it's been a history of deceit and of not telling the truth. When Monsanto and other companies said PCBs were safe, DDT was safe, Agent Orange was safe, aspartame was safe, and after a few years everybody found out the dangers of PCBs and DDT. And now we have the same company telling us that GMOs are safe.
For years, Vandana Shiva has observed the threat to biological diversity stemming from the policies of multinational seed and chemical giants. This gave her the impetus to purchase, with private funds, a piece of land at the foot of the Himalayas in northern India, and to found Navdanya, an experimental farm. Without using any chemicals, only with organic, sustainable farming, she collects, breeds and preserves old seeds which have been displaced from the fields since the introduction of the monotone chemical agriculture in the 50s and 60s.
In January of 2002, the new scientists announced a new miracle for India. Scientists in India, along with companies of course, had worked out the potato. And they wanted to solve the protein problem by putting genes from this plant, the amaranth, which is very, very rich in protein. The grain amaranth has about 11 milligrams per 100 grams. Take the genes for protein from this plant and put it into the potato. And the potato that will be genetically engineered with genes from amaranth is actually going to leave you with nutritional scarcity, because you'll have got rid of the calcium producing content of amaranth, you'll have got rid of the fiber of amaranth, you'll have got rid of the iron in amaranth, you'll have got rid of the taste of amaranth, you'll have got rid of the amaranth. You are writing in the creation of a genetically engineered potato with amaranth gene, you are writing an extinction sentence for God's own grain. The second thing they're forcing, so one is, the first is the very unethical imposition of patents on life, which is to treat life as an invention of man. Life as invention of man. W.R. Gray's case of neem. A company called Rice Tech, Basmati. And the list is very, very long. So anyone can say, I have invented. Second story is, on the one hand, American manufacturing industry has already got a manufacturing...
The big trading nations, Europe and America, are trying to assign their patent thinking towards the third world. That means that naturally growing plants, like the neem tree, or economic plants cultivated for years, such as basmati rice, are suddenly the property of patent holders. Thanks to Vandana Shiva, some of these patents are being revoked after long and bitter lawsuits.
For me, this engagement with genetic engineering and the corporations that are pushing genetic engineering without letting democratic safety systems evolve by extinguishing everything, my passion for fighting really comes from the love for biodiversity. You know, to me, there's nothing more beautiful than seeing hundreds of rice varieties, you know, bean varieties of different colors, those gifts of nature, from the fact that the Indian peasant, for me, has been the embodiment of resilience, of strength, of hope, and that is the soul of India, and that is what is being assaulted by these corporations. The heart and soul of India is under assault. And this struggle for the seed, for the freedom of our seed, for the freedom of our farmers, is to me the same as Gandhi's struggle, his satyagraha, the fight for truth.